On the brink of famine, with its civilian infrastructure targeted regularly by Saudi bombings and terrorists reaping the benefits of widespread chaos, Yemen is truly the forgotten war. While all 8 groups agree that catastrophe is the best way to describe the civilian suffering of innocent Yemenis at the hands of the Saudi-led coalition, the world sits idly by. Yet Yemenis stand strong, retaliating in ever stronger ways against the continuing onslaught. The question then remains, has it been worth it for the Saudis and their allies who have yet to achieve their stated goals? That and more in this edition of the debate. Let me now introduce our guests for this edition of the debate. We're joined by the Director of Human Rights for Yemen, Ms. Kim Sharif, who is joining us live from London. And we're also joined by Middle East expert, Mr. Jihad Mourkadeh, who is joining us live from Beirut. Thank you both for joining us for this edition of the debate. Mr. Mourkadeh, I'd like to start with you. The 5-month war in Yemen has wrought destruction, according to the International Red Cross's head, similar to that seen in Syria after 5 years. Yet the world's response has been weak, to say the least. Why is that, do you think?
Thank you for having me. Because there is a major difference between Yemen and Syria. In Yemen, there is a United Nations Security Council resolution, well, quite a few of them, that call for the Houthis to withdraw from the areas that they have conquered against the legitimate government of Yemen. So if there is a problem in Yemen, the first problem is the Houthis, not according to me, but according to the international community. The international community has made its resolution under Chapter 7. Under Chapter 7, the international community allows any country to take whatever measures are necessary in order to execute this resolution. The Houthis have not withdrawn from the areas that they have occupied since September last year, and then more recently, that is Sana'a, and more recently Taiz and Aden. It is up to Saudi Arabia and its allies to retake and reconquer, according to the United Nations resolution, Security Council resolution, to retake and reconquer the areas taken by the Houthis. So if there is a problem in Yemen, it's the Houthis. It is not those who are taking charge of the international community directive.
Okay, let me put that question to Ms. Sharif. Ms. Sharif, I wanted to get your reaction to that. Is it all the Houthis' fault?
This is extremely hilarious. Unfortunately, I can't laugh because the scale of human tragedy in the Yemen is nothing less than a Holocaust. For a starter, my friend is referring to resolution, I presume, 2216, which deals with the restriction of the movement of 2 named persons, namely Abdul Malik al-Houthi and the former president Ali Abdullah Saleh, and also allows the checking of supplies or potential supplies of weapons to these 2 named parties. Now, if my friend has done a bit of research, he would have found that that resolution does lack the character of legality in essence. By that I mean a number of the countries that have been made to sign or agree to that resolution have expressed grave reservations about it. For example, Russia, Venezuela, and Spain have all expressed serious reservations about that resolution, saying they have been made to sign this literally with a gun to the head due to political playing background. They also said that this resolution was conducted in a very unseemly manner insofar as it was very secretly and secretively arranged, debated, and pushed through without any proper consideration to the usual rules of formalities governing the UN. To say that the problem is the Houthis is again laughable, except that there is no point in laughing here because there's a human tragedy of a Holocaust scale. Now, let me go on to the point about the legitimacy or otherwise of the former government that they are trying to restore. If my friend also did a little bit of research, he would have found that Mr. Hadi's legitimacy had, and I'm speaking here in the past participle, had finished, expired in February this year, okay? Prior to that, this term that had expired in February this year, it was only a mere extension of the earlier 2-year term that he was given by the Arab Spring Revolution. He failed to accomplish what he was given by way of a mandate for the period of the initial 2 years. Having failed to achieve what he was given by way of a mandate, he collected a group of personal friends that he had appointed to the position of extending that period by another year, which is what happened in reality. Come September last year, nothing was still achieved. Therefore, to say that Hadi, who seems to have a fetish for women's clothing, for that I will leave to other people to comment about its background and why men might prefer women's clothing, he left the country. To say that he was a legitimate government is an otiose and complete absurdity of the highest scale. No intelligent human being with a slight degree of intellect would actually dare to say that this man had legitimacy. Now, I have a 5-point issue to raise here.
I don't care. I mean,
there is no UN mandate justifying bombing. There is no UN mandate justifying bombing.
There is a UN mandate.
That does not justify bombing. Go show me where it says you are hereby authorized to
There is a UN mandate that justifies anything to get rid of the Houthis.
No, don't cut me off, sir. I haven't finished. You have a problem with women
enough.
speaking?
I mean,
Please,
I have the right to speak as well. No, I'm going to cut you off because that's enough.
You will have your turn. You will have your turn. You will have your turn. Let me finish.
Okay.
I have a 5-point issue to make. 1, there is no mandate authorizing the bombardment of the Yemen. 2,
there is a mandate.
Hysterical and indiscriminate. I am not finished, sir. The hysterical, indiscriminate nature of the bombardment is also illegal insofar as it targets civilian infrastructure. 3, there is allegation of use of illegal weapons. I haven't finished, sir. I haven't finished. I've got a 5-point issue to make. You will have your chance to comment on this.
I am responding point by point.
Maybe you need to take points.
Mr. Morkadeh, I do promise I will give you a proper time to respond. Ms. Sharif, continue.
Okay. So we've dealt with 1 and 2. No mandate allowing the use of force. 2, hysterical and indiscriminate nature of the attack. 3, use of illegal weapons. 4, genocide. Macha, school in Amran recently, Hodeidah port, Taiz, all demonstrate commission of genocide and acts of war crimes. 5, there is clear evidence of support for terrorism. There was a deliberate parachuting of weapons and large amounts of cash to Al-Qaeda and Daesh in the Aden and the southern areas. We have photographic evidence to prove this. There is also
okay, Ms. Sharif, I do apologize for cutting you off. I do want to give the chance to Mr. Morkadeh, as I promised, to respond. Mr. Morkadeh,
these are my 5 points issue that shows that this war is illegal and it must stop immediately because it's a Holocaust.
All right, okay, Mr. Morkadeh, go ahead.
I cannot disagree more with the lady, Ms. Sharif, in London, for a very simple reason. She may have her opinion about Mr. Hadi, but as far as the United Nations Security Council is concerned, which is an important international body, not individual opinions like hers or somebody else's, okay? In September, when the Houthis attacked Sana'a, there was immediately a UN Security Council resolution calling for the Houthis to withdraw and to give back the government offices that they have taken by force. As far as the international community is concerned, it doesn't matter whether individuals like Ms. Salhi and whatever she represents and whatever she may think is totally irrelevant for the international community. For the international community, they said it very clearly. And I mean by that, the Security Council, they said it very clearly, the Houthis have to withdraw. As long as they have not withdrawn, Saudi Arabia has every right to take any action that they want. Second, with regards to the UN Resolution 2216, for your information, Ms. Salhi, apparently you don't read very well. Venezuela voted for and Spain voted for the resolution. Russia abstained for a different reason, but did not oppose any veto on the resolution. The resolution was taken under Chapter 7, allowing any country to take any action whatsoever. If you are complaining about the action of Saudi Arabia, then go and complain to the United Nations, okay, instead of airing or voicing your logic on air. Finally, with regards to the various points that you have put, I mean, I tried to respond to them right on the spot, but obviously I did not take note. I don't remember. I don't think they are particularly relevant to the discussion. What is relevant is that there is a war in Yemen. This war has been caused by the Houthis, who overthrew a legitimately elected government, not in my eyes, but in that of the international community. This overthrow, you must accept it as an overthrow of government, and the Houthis have to withdraw. As long as you not accept that the Houthis have to withdraw, you are accepting and you are fueling the war in Yemen. And the war in Yemen, for your information, is not only Saudi Arabia. These are Yemenis on the ground fighting other Yemenis. These are supporters of President Hadi, Mansour Hadi, who are fighting supporters of Ali Abdullah Saleh. And by the way, Ali Abdullah Saleh was the man who was fighting the Houthis. All of a sudden, because they promised that his son is going to become the next prime minister or next president of Yemen, the Houthis are fighting with Ali Abdullah Saleh, and they are infighting between Ali Abdullah Saleh and the Houthis, or actually right now. So as far as I'm concerned, the Houthis and Ali Abdullah Saleh and the United Nations have put both the leader of the Houthi and Ali Abdullah Saleh and his son on the list of sanctions. As far as I'm concerned, this is the true story. Anything else is but propaganda, and I don't buy it.
Okay, let me just take a quick time out. I do apologize, Ms. Sharif. I apologize for cutting off your train of thought. I just want to go to our viewers first and get our viewer comments. Our viewers will be taking part in this conversation as well through our social media pages. Let's listen to their opinions about this topic, and we'll be right back with our guests.
Saudi Arabia has presented the conflict as a sort of noble intervention, aiming to displace an Iranian proxy from power in favor of a legitimately elected Hadi. Yet the history of the Houthis shows that their origins were entirely domestic and a natural backlash against the political corruption that has defined the nation for decades. The Saudi coalition should attack Israel after what happened today. Israel killed 4 Arab brothers, and no one cares. If Gamal Abdel Nasser were alive, he would already have attacked Israel. Bombing will continue until Houthi rebels surrender. And it's just the children that suffer. Good grief. Why don't Saudis do something to Israel? They're killing Sunni women, men, and kids. Saudis wouldn't have the gall unless they were asked by the U.S. The USA needs to stop this global domination. They have no morals, ethics, or empathy. Efforts should be made so that Yemeni people choose a populist government acceptable to all Yemenis.
Again, just some of our viewer comments as posted on our social media pages. I'm going to go now to Ms. Sharif. Ms. Sharif, I apologize for cutting you off. Go ahead with your reaction.
Well, it's quite remarkable, and it is very sad and shocking that human beings seem to have left their senses and humanity. I'm not sure how much petrodollar is being spent on this to silence the world about the reality of what's going on. To rely on the UN resolution as authorizing this mad, hysterical extermination of the poorest people in the region is absolutely so unhuman that no intellectual human being would actually seek to try and justify that. Now, let me explain something about the Houthi business. I'm neither with Houthi nor with anybody else. Let me say something about the Yemen. Yemen is the only republic in the area. Everybody else out there is dictatorship of sheikhdom, kingdom, or emirdom of some sort. Now, there is a hatred of the Yemen because there is an old civilization there. And the people who were involved in the September revolution are not just the Houthis. Let's make that very clear. It seems that the people don't seem to know this in the world. It's not just Houthi here. It's the Jaish and Lijan al-Sha'biyya, which is the army and the coalition of parties. Yemen has many, many political parties. Al-Islah, Al-Mu'tamar, Al-Ishtiraki, Al-Haq. And Houthi is just a very small part of this. Now, to say that everything is being done by the Houthi is to ignore all of this going on. The other question I have for these people who seem to have forgotten or left their senses somewhere where I don't know where, the petrodollar box, is this. Does the UN support terrorism? Does the UN support terrorism? If the answer is no, then the UN must step in immediately and investigate the support of terrorism that is going on routinely on a daily basis in the Yemen today by the Saudi regime. We have evidence to show that there is support for terrorism. A couple of days ago in the Taiz area, there was an extermination of an entire tribe, Banu Ramima, and that was committed by the Daesh people. A couple of soldiers were killed and their bodies were crucified, and there was a picture also of someone eating parts of the dead body of the soldier. Now that is extreme kind of most horrific kind of terrorism we have witnessed in recent history. The UN, if it does care, if it does have any legitimacy, if it wants to reinstate its moral authority over the world and uphold its legal position in the world, it really must make a stand and make a very clear stand here. It must say it does not support terrorism.
Ms. Sharif,
if you want me to,
Ms. Sharif,
I
do apologize for interrupting you. We don't have that much time, so I want to get to both of you. Mr. Morkadeh, if I could just put this to you, some of the points that Ms. Sharif there is making, and something that you mentioned, Mr. Morkadeh, is that the UN has allowed the Saudis, or the Saudi-led coalition, I should say, to remove the Houthis, as you said, from power by any means necessary. Now that sounds kind of awkward because, you know, these are human beings who are suffering at the end, or at the, you know, at the bullets or the bombs that are dropping on these people in Yemen. These are human beings that are suffering. Regardless of where you stand on this, there is a human suffering, and this is not working at this point. Isn't that much, at the very least, something which we should be working to avoid?
Absolutely. I never said that I support the suffering of human beings, but the suffering of human beings, first of all, started way back when the Houthis removed President Mansour Hadi. And then they continued their fight all the way from Sana'a to Taiz to Aden. The suffering of human beings should be stopped, of course, provided the Houthis, who are meeting in Muscat in Oman, try to find some kind of reason to come to the negotiating table. As far they have to accept the UN Resolution Council 2216, which the whole international community supports. Why don't they say we accept Resolution 2216 and we come to the negotiating table? The more they say that they don't, the more the killing keeps on going on. And the killing and the children are not children from one side, not from the other. Do you mean to say that the Houthis are not shooting back? Do you mean to say that the forces of Ali Abdullah Saleh are not shooting back? Do you mean to say that children are falling from one side and not from the other? That hospitals are being destroyed by one and not by the other? This is ridiculous. It's a war. You either want to stop the war and then you go to the negotiating table based on the United Nations Resolution 2216 as the Security Council has asked for, or stop complaining about civilians being dead. This is a war. You accept it, or you accept UN resolutions.
Stop
and that's all there is to
about
it.
Civilians being dead. That's a shame that I hear someone saying that.
But the civilians have been killed on both sides. Why do you choose one civilian? But the civilians are being killed on both sides, madam. Why do you choose these civilians and not those civilians?
Shall we exterminate the Houthis, is what you're saying. Let's exterminate the Houthis. Because this problem is not just the Houthis. I'm telling you, there is the army. And the coalition forces. Don't ignore these.
The army that is fighting with the Houthis against other Yemenis. But it is Yemenis fighting you.
But sir, Mr. Morkadeh, with due respect, Mr. Morkadeh, isn't it the Saudi-led coalition of non-Yemenis fighting the Yemenis?
The people, the forces for Mansour Hadi are Yemenis, helped by Saudis and the UAE. But these are Yemenis, excuse me. And now you're telling me that if your Yemenis kill my Yemenis, it's bad.
Dollars who are sitting in Riyadh in their air-conditioned houses while their families are being killed. Excuse me, the Yemenis can fix their own problems. They don't need outsiders to come and tell them what to do.
They have to stop.
This is arrogant.
They either stop or they keep on getting killed.
You can fix it.
They stop. So yes, it is arrogance. It's the arrogance of the international community. We don't care about individual opinion.
To one man
there is a law in this world.
Who are corrupt.
International opinion
One man and his Kwango who are corrupt. We listen to them.
Your corruption,
so that we have a
you are corrupt as well.
Yemen.
And Ali Abdullah Saleh is corrupt. Your ally is corrupt.
No one else is allowed to interfere in the business of Yemen. No one else is allowed to interfere in the business of Yemen. We don't want dictatorship.
Ali Abdullah Saleh is a corrupt one.
We don't want sheikhdom. We don't want kingdom. We don't want that. We have a democracy.
Okay, I do sincerely apologize for interrupting both of you. We do, of course, sincerely appreciate both of you taking your time and your contribution to this debate. That was the Director of Human Rights for Yemen, Ms. Kim Sharif, who had been speaking to us live from London. And we were also joined by Mr. Jihad Morakadeh, Middle East expert, who had been speaking to us live from the Lebanese capital, Beirut. And of course, viewers, we do appreciate your comments as posted on our social media pages. And of course, for watching. Until next time, good night.